Welcome back to my channel. Recently I did a video on, or a reaction video to Final Fantasy, the launch trailer that they actually did. And what I've decided to do is to kind of continue going through some of the Final Fantasy content, um, comment on it, and kind of see what kind of changes and stuff that they made kind of going forward. Well, in the first one, like I mentioned, um, one of the one of my first comments or observations is most of the video tends to be cutscenes directly from the game itself. So kind of as if they played the game or designed the game and then kind of went back into it and just pulled direct scenes out of it, which is fine if that's what they wanted to do in order to get the content that they needed in order to get people hooked on the game or interested in the game. But one of the things that's interesting about not reaction video, to actual not cutscenes but trailer videos for games is, and quite often it happens with the sequels to it or the DLC when they add something to it. What they tend to do is they tend to add something a little bit more, and as their production gets stronger and stronger, you'd think that they do a lot more high quality types of things. So I'm kind of curious to see if that's the direction they went. Like I said, the very first one was nothing but literally cutscenes all the way through it. Stuff directly from the game. So we're going to watch the second one, which is Heavensward, and we'll see kind of what they did with it. See if there's any story-driven elements to it. One of the things I did notice in the very first video was there's no story to that video whatsoever. It's just essentially a bunch of cutscenes. If you knew the story going into it, you might actually be able to piece together what was actually going on. But if you didn't, you're just seeing a whole bunch of stuff and kind of going, okay, that's kind of cool. I guess I'll have to actually start playing the game to figure out what the game is actually about. So I am kind of curious to see if they stayed that direction or if they went into the first huge DLC expansion DLC. If they when they went into it to see if they actually brought a narrative into the story as well, which would be kind of interesting because you would think they would be, because there is an overarch story to what's going on in Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know that they touched on it, and we'll see that as we look at this as soon as I start this thing in a moment. I'm going to try to keep this pretty short because I don't really need to spend a whole lot of time doing this sort of stuff. But I do want to do some kind of maintenance stuff that I think is just pretty important if you've been following any of my videos. For one thing is, you may notice I've gotten a haircut. I've been needing one for quite some time, and so I finally got one, and got that taken care of, got all the stuff off the ears and everything, and shaved all that, so becoming a little more presentable, because like I said, I have to be going back to work pretty soon, and I need to make sure that I'm somewhat presentable, because you can't really start teaching and or head onto a college environment looking like Shaggy Dog. Well, I guess you could, but it's not really ever been my thing, and so I didn't want to get that as my look that people kind of got used to. Anyway, so this is what I should be looking like going forward, give or take a few pounds here and there. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at Heavensward for Final Fantasy XIV, and I'll watch and tell you what I think.
In the distant past, King Thordan and his knights 12 fought and defeated Nidhogg.
Okay, we've barely even gone a couple of, seconds into the video itself, and already it seems like it's going to be more narrative based than just a bunch of cutscenes, and kind of happy about that, because right now we don't have a whole lot of graphics kind of going on the screen, but it seems like they're starting to tell a story, and well, this could be interesting going forward. So let's watch and find out.
For 7 days and 7 nights a bitter battle raged, at the close of which Thordan and half his knights lay dead.
Children of the land,
We seek to excise the root of an evil that has blighted us for 1,000 years.
that once rang clear, two souls intertwined, one true.
It has been a long and arduous journey, and we have lost much and more along the way.
And heaven's near, but flames that burn full bright soon fell dark. Memories dim our shadowed hearts. In the waxing moon did wane, watching as their worlds drift apart.
So, the dragons are coming.
Yeah, you basically can't have a fantasy MMO without dragons for some reason. I think that's just kind of like a standardized given now, so not surprised they went that particular direction as well.
Penance to bear a knight's arms until death grants me leave to retire.
When that day comes, no prince shall perish, but a hell's-bound hunter of dragons. Their very existence threatens the life of this star.
Mayhap they're waiting for a fitting moment to break the news, or mayhap they know of some other reason to delay.
Lonorito!
Hearken to me, O great ones. Give yourselves to the life stream, a drifting soul to find.
You are the beacon of hope towards which all men are drawn.
Spare us the hyperbole. 'Tis not for praise that we fight.
The coming battle is a chance to excise the root of this conflict, and by my hand it shall be done.
What do you know of the Ascians? Those harbingers of chaos and strife?
Very well. Let us show these mortals the true power of the Echo.
I am become you.
And we are become one. Heideland's champion has grown too strong. Equilibrium must needs be restored. The time has come for you and yours to join the fray. Warrior of Darkness.
Okay, couple of comments that I want to make on this, based on quick observation. Well, first one has nothing to do with the video itself, or with the cinematics. Basically, my phone kept going off during this, so I kept having to like stop, restart, so it may feel a little disjointed kind of going through it. The other thing is I noticed like towards like 3/4 or so into this thing that my drink was in front of the camera. Really good place for it. So hopefully I'll figure out these little stupid things kind of going forward. Okay, I want to talk about the cinematics themselves. One thing I noticed is the video for this was kind of a darkened video, which is unusual for kind of what I'm used to for cinematic trailers. Cinematic trailers usually full, vibrant colors. This wasn't really that. This was more of a kind of a grayish, grayscale kind of an image kind of going through it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's very much a creative touch that they did. I don't know that it made it better or worse. It just made it a little bit different. That's really all I had to say on that. Yeah, those are like the main, at least, judging from that. A couple other things I did notice during the video itself, during the cinematics, is there's a couple of characters that kind of show up in the storyline that you see there, that are part of the original A Realm Reborn, that are now getting play again, which I thought was kind of interesting, because when you usually when you play a DLC or a complete expansion, usually it's just completely new content, and you don't have any any of the old bosses tend to not be around anymore. And so like that emperor guy, or whatever he is, emperor, king, bishop, I don't know what he is, he shows up at the very end of A Realm Reborn, which I thought was kind of interesting. And the other guy, the one with the mask, he's kind of like the evil baddie all throughout the entire series. Doesn't seem much more powerful than anybody else, but he is. And he's kind of been since day one of the game, or day one of the adventure in the game. So it's kind of interesting. He's back, and he's definitely the main baddie again. At least I assume he is. At least he's calling shots for the bishop, emperor, king guy. So I thought that was kind of interesting. The narrative for the cinematic trailer, it kind of touches on the story of Heavensward, but I really have no idea what's actually going on. So it doesn't do a really good job of actually saying, hey, here's what the story is, you're going to really like this. All I really know is there's dragons, because they show up. or dragon-looking things, and a bunch of evil people that I kind of saw. One thing I did like that in the cinematic trailer that they did is it's not just a trailer, or I mean, it's not just the cinematics that they created just for the trailer that they're doing. A lot of it's actually gameplay within the game, and so there's a lot of scenes in there. If you watch and you pay kind of close attention to what's going on, you're actually seeing what looks like, you know, players playing against whatever the actual thing is, rather than just a, you know, a cut scene of something like that actually happening. Now, I don't know that that's actually players we saw, or whether it's you know, the developers, you know, doing kind of like a run through to do the cinematics, but it was kind of nice and refreshing to see, because one thing you don't get a lot of times in these cinematic trailers is, you know, actual gameplay, so that you know, okay, this is what I'm getting when I buy the game. So this kind of tells me, okay, we know what's in the game now because we just saw it. And I think that's a pretty nice thing that they actually did on there. Whether it helps to sell the game is another story, because players tend to like the, you know, the whole World of Warcraft massively great, you know, graphics that you're watching as you're going forward, which you don't get when you're actually seeing a scene from the game, because the game's, you know, a couple of years old, and so you're not going to get the most up-to-date kind of, you know, graphic content that you could ever get, but it doesn't look bad, and so that's kind of important. And so going forward, I think it's a good decision that they actually made on that. All right, so I will probably go through and start doing some of the other cinematics that they did, and maybe some of the other properties of other games as well, just to kind of, you know, get a feel for how do other people do it. I looked at World of Warcraft's games from the very beginning, but I've never actually done a cinematic trailer review or reaction. It'd be kind of nice to do that and see, you know, maybe I have missed the stories in those things, and there's actually something going on, rather than just, you know, ooh, here's a bunch of scenes that would look really cool. So anyway, that's kind of what I have for this time. I don't want to get too deep into this because I don't want to kind of, you know, make this, you know, a 72-hour long video. One of the problems I had when I just did this one is I recorded it, and then basically I didn't record it. So let me rephrase that. So I actually thought I had recorded it, went through, did all commentary and everything on it, and then realized after I went through to do the, you know, the rendering of the actual video itself, there was nothing there. So I had to kind of redo it when I went through it. And so one of the mistakes I ran into is instead of like having the you know, the 3 pictures that I have when I do my commentaries during a video, I ended up actually keeping quite a bit of the larger view of it. So it wasn't my choice to do it that way, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. So going forward, I'll try to be a little more careful, you know, so it doesn't happen again. All right, thank you. Talk to you later. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Your comments are really, really helpful. If you can, you know, tell me what things worked for you, what didn't work for you. Do you like this kind of stuff? I have very few comments so far that have actually, you know, talked about that part of it. A few, but it helped to get actual more. And if you have any ideas for other trailers or other reviews of TV shows, movies, and all that you'd actually like to see, leave a comment. Let me know, because I can't promise I'll get to everything, but I'll try to get, you know, through as many as you offer as the idea, because, you know, I at least want you to be interested in the same stuff that I'm actually presenting. So keep in mind, my main focus is usually about the narrative elements in the story. such as the story itself. But when you run into a situation where there's not a whole lot of story involved, kind of like with the cinematic trailer we just watched, it's pretty limited, and I just may end up, doing a reaction to a reaction. So anyway, take care. Thanks for watching, and hope you watch more.